Hey guys, it's Mr. MJ Fan 101 Alt here, and today I'll be reviewing Call of Duty Black Ops 2. First, let's get into the graphics and audio. Now, graphics don't make a game, but for a franchise like Call of Duty, they really should update them by now. From what I've played, I've noticed little to no difference from Black Ops 1 to this. Again, graphics don't make a game. Look at Minecraft. But for something as big as Call of Duty, I really think they should take a year off and just revamp their engine as a whole. Now, the audio is different. It still isn't BF3 quality audio, but the audio is definitely better in this game compared to the previous Call of Duties, especially the gun sounds. So overall, I think graphics could be improved, and the audio has definitely been improved already. Ah, yes, another Call of Duty game, and with another Call of Duty game comes another campaign. Now, you probably expect it to be generic, and I'm sure you do, but I was actually surprised by this game's campaign. It still has sort of a generic story, it's a foreign bad guy that wants some sort of revenge or money or something, and ends up leading to world terror, but they added great elements to improve upon that and make the story better. For one, the storytelling. The storytelling is so much better in this game than any other Call of Duty game. It's very effective and engaging, and the main reason for that is because there's a bunch of flashbacks. A lot of the early missions are flashbacks, and it goes between flashbacks and modern missions and cutscenes, and it just all ties together very well, and it's just great execution on the storytelling. And another thing which goes hand in hand with the storytelling is the decisions that you make throughout the game. Now, don't get worried, there aren't too many decisions that you have to make, but the ones that you do make have a big impact on the outcome of the campaign and can actually dictate what missions you play during the later levels. There are also 4 separate endings depending on the decisions you make. I would advise you to try to get all 4, but I know that you'll look them up on YouTube, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, Black Ops 2's campaign is great, but there's definitely one thing holding it back. That one thing is Strike Force missions. Now, I'm sure you've heard other people talk about these before, and I'm sure it's been beaten to crap, but I have to mention it. Strike Force missions, without going too in-depth, are basically an RTS mixed with an FPS. And in short terms, it's terrible. And I'd skip through the dang things, but you need to play them to get achievements, and they end up affecting the course of your campaign as well. So, Treyarch, take notes. This is an FPS, not an RTS. Never do Strike Force again. If you're wondering why it's so terrible, I would advise you just to play it. But to explain it, it's just... well, for one, it's kind of pointless. It's an FPS. Why do we need these RTS elements? Another thing is the RTS elements aren't integrated that well. Like, the characters, they're not that responsive, and they just don't really do much. You do all the work yourself, just like you do in an FPS. That's why there should be no RTS elements. And my last complaint, does it not seem like it was designed specifically for the Wii U? Like, am I the only person that notices that? It seems like it was designed for the Wii U. Like the tactical map and stuff. Like, I could just imagine somebody playing on the Wii U, and then they look at their gamepad, and they start messing with the tactical... Is that how it works in the Wii U? Because if it's not, I'm actually kind of ticked. Because that's exactly what it seems like it's designed for. But anyways, Black Ops 2 has a great campaign. Besides Strike Force, it definitely has a great campaign. Oh, sweet, I get to talk about multiplayer? What overpowered guns could I possibly use this year? Okay, all jokes aside, the multiplayer in this game is not that bad. In fact, I'm not going to spend that much time talking about it, and that's mainly because it's Call of Duty. There aren't really that many major innovations besides the new creative class, which I still don't consider to be a major innovation, like it's made out to be. But basically, in the new creative class, it's still the same 3-perk system, except for a couple things. One of them is the capacity of some things has changed. For example, you can now have up to 2 attachments on your gun, without buying or using a perk. Like, before you'd need a perk to have 2 attachments on your gun. Now you can have that by default. But you can't always have that, and I'll get to that in a second. Another thing is that there are wildcards, and all they really are is things like... they're kind of like a different kind of perk. Like, there's, for example, Overkill is a wild card, where you get to replace your secondary weapon with another primary. But the real gist, the real thing you want to know about the new creative class is the fact that you get 10 points to spend. It's all based on a 10-point system. You get 10 points to spend. Everything's worth 1 point. So basically, a weapon, attachment, perk, anything you add will count for 1 point. And you can add as many things as you want. However, there are some restrictions. Obviously, you can only have 1 gun, 2 attachments for that gun, 1 pistol, 1 perk without a wild card, and so on. Overall, I actually really like this year's multiplayer because I find it to be really balanced, and the party games playlist especially is awesome. However, there's some other things like league play and stuff like that, but it's just Call of Duty. There aren't really that many major innovations, although it is fun. Yes, finally, the final part of this review, where I get to talk about my personal favorite thing to play in Call of Duty, zombies. Zombies actually has some major innovations, unlike multiplayer, this year. For example, there's the transit mode. Transit is basically a huge map with several different areas that can be traveled to by walking, although you'll most likely die doing so, teleporting, which is unreliable, and riding the bus, which can be dangerous in later rounds, but still the safest way to travel. It also offers many strategies. For example, there are 5 different places you can stay at in transit, so you can have 4 people stay at 4 different places and have the 5th place like be a fallback if everyone needs to regroup. I really like that, although in a way it just continues to make zombies easier. However, they tried to make things more difficult in several ways. For one, if you choose to walk to the separate areas, there will be these monkey-like things. I don't know what they're called, but they just remind me of monkeys. And they'll jump on you and slow you down. They don't really kill you normally, they just tick you off. There's also lava all over the map. This one can get you down sometimes, but similar to the monkeys, the lava just ends up ticking you off a lot. Also, in transit, you have to build all these different things that can be used for several different things. Like, in the first room, you can build a turbine, which will save you points. You can build a turret. You have to build a pack-a-punch. You have to find the parts to build several different things. In my opinion, I'm still kind of conflicted whether I like that or not. I'll tell you this. One part of me wants to say that it overcomplicates things. One part of me wants to say that it makes things more difficult, and it helps you, like, it makes the gameplay more fresh, because you'll always find different things to make, and you're always looking for different parts for certain things. But those are my 2 opinions on that. So anyways, moving on, there's also Grief, a new game mode where you basically play survival with 8 players in 2 separate teams. Basically, whichever team survives longer wins. However, the team that is the last one left needs to survive the round to win. If both teams go down in the same round, it restarts the round, and this continues until a winner is declared. Grief also added a zombie meat power-up that you can throw at a certain area and it will attract the zombies. The only problem is that it is better for personal use than trying to grief the enemy. That is the only problem with this game mode, really. There's not that many ways to grief the other team. There's like 1 or 2. Knifing him and throwing the meat at him, and that's about it. They might as well just call it team versus team zombies. Oh, and there's also survival, where you pick an area and just survive as long as possible. Simple as that. It's just classic survival. And it's also in one area, and so is Grief. So, like, there's 5 areas in transit. Let's say one of the areas is the town. You can play survival and Grief there. So anyways, on to the final verdict. I give Call of Duty Black Ops 2 an 8.9. Yes, I am getting more specific with my ratings now, just letting you know that. But anyways, it is an improved, it's improved over Black Ops 1. But there are a couple things holding it back from being a great game. The zombies was improved, the campaign was improved, and the multiplayer pretty much slightly improved. But like I said, there's a few things holding it back. Like I said, the campaign had the Strike Force missions. The multiplayer had some innovations, but they weren't really major. And zombies, I don't really see any problems with it. I think it improved. It and campaign improved the most out of the 3 main things this year. So anyways, see you guys next time.